decisive factor in the outcome of World War II. The island was called Abalone. On July 22nd, 1943, 5 gigantic cannons were brought to the island. It wasn't long before they were bombarding every spot on the globe, generally causing a terrible nuisance. What to see is an account of how these fearsome leviathans were silenced. This is the story of the Guns of Abalone.
Send Captain Snyder in here.
I am Captain Snyder, General.
Well, you certainly got here fast. Snyder, form a group of commandos and destroy those guns the narrator was talking about.
To hear it's too bad. That came about the formation of Snyder's Raiders. To make a short story even shorter, Snyder's Raiders accomplished what they set out to do. The Guns of Abalone were silent, but not forever. 18 years later, a reunion was held on the second floor of a one-store building. Captain Snyder, older and wiser, proposed a toast to his comrades. So drink, chocolate, chocolate, chocolate. So drink, chocolate.
Include me out, Captain.
What's wrong, Crenshaw? Are you driving tonight?
No, it's the headlines in the paper.
And there in black packer were the words, Guns of Abalone, renew firing. The paper's wrong. The paper was right. A worldwide appeal was launched for volunteers to destroy the cannons once and for all. Alas, not one volunteer stepped forward.
Hokey smoke, Bullwinkle, we're out of milk. One of us has got to run down to the store.
Leave it to me, Rock. I'll go.
Wouldn't you know it, those last two words, I'll go, were overheard by a newspaper reporter who relayed them to his editor, who relayed them to a linotype machine, who relayed them to page 1 of the Frostbite Falls flyer.
Read all about it. Bullwinkle says he'll go.
Is it true, Bullwinkle? You're going to Abalone?
Oh, I never shop at Abalone. Too crowded, you know. I always buy my groceries at the J&T.
You don't understand, Bullwinkle. Somehow or other, when you said you'd go, everyone assumed you'd volunteer to go to an island in the Aegean Sea.
What's wrong with the milk in this country?
It took Rocky the better part of the night to explain what had happened. In fact, he was still explaining about a jet airliner bound for Europe.
And if those cannons aren't taken care of, they could blow up the world.
What's that got to do with the price of milk?
We've nothing better to do, so let's jump ahead of our heroes to their eventual destination. Now, the island of Abalone isn't very large, yet the cannons are not easily discernible. That's because they are camouflaged. You see that small building with the 5 smokestacks? Well, those smokestacks are in reality smokestacks. The cannons are on the other side of the island, disguised as trees. Whoops, there they go.
Oh, boy, those things make loud booms.
You think that's loud? Wait till world gets ransom note. Then you hear noise. I'm going to say, world, Boris will blow you up unless you give to me moose named Bullwinkle and squirrel named Rocky.
For why you let those two bug you?
Because, Nastasia, I promised someone I read hemisphere of all goodies.
Who you promise?
Me. Here, take shell and load number 1 canyon. Yes, those two ne'er-do-wells, Boris Badenov and Natasha Patel, were responsible for reactivating the Guns of Abalone.
Who are we in for this time, darling?
Oh, we take pot. Shell arched its way up into the sky, then took off on a straight line for the airplane carrying our heroes.
And that's one of the few straight lines in the show.
Will it be a direct hit? Will the real Bullwinkle stand up? Don't miss Falling Stars or Only a Plumber Should Plummet.
Hi there. Today's poem is all about my grandfather's clock.
Sure is a big one.
Yep. My grandfather's clock was too large for the shelf, so it stood 90 years on the floor.
How come it's not running?
See, it says always is treasure and pride. It stopped short, never to go again when the old moose died.
Your grandfather's dead, Bullwinkle?
Well, exactly. He just sort of disappeared. But that doesn't rhyme so good.
And the clock hasn't run all these years, huh?
What do you mean all these years? He disappeared yesterday.
Yesterday, and the clock stopped? Hey, useful.
Uh-oh, let me open her up. Grandpa, it's you!
You're expecting maybe John Cameron Swayze?
Well, if that don't beat all, how could anybody be so stupid as to get locked up in a clock?
Stupid? Why, it's easy. Like this.
Oh!
Now there's something you don't see every day, Rocky.
What's that, Grandpa?
A clock with a face on both sides.
It was once thought that taking the long count meant that someone had lost a boxing match. In the kingdom of Withering Heights, however, taking the long count simply meant that the very tall Count Basil had been swindled again. The poor Count was an easy dupe for any charlatan he chanced to meet.
Hey, Bud, how would you like to buy a stable of racing chickens?
Racing chickens? Nobody races chickens.
I know. You'll be the only one in the world. That way you'll never lose a race.
Say, that's right. I'll take it.
Then again, that same one.
I'll bet you 1,000 to 1 you can't jump over 4 Mile Canyon. I'll hold the stakes.
Of course, even the Count knew that he couldn't make it, but at 1,000 to 1, he couldn't resist the odds. This went on year after year, and finally, there came a day when the poor Count had nothing left to be swindled out of. His castle was repossessed, his riches were gone, he even had to give up his stable of racing chickens.
Oh, I really hate to see those chickens go, especially the trotters.
Penniless and in rags, the Count was forced to become a lowly wood chopper so that he could earn enough to buy bread and cheese.
A lowly wood breaker, to be exact, old boy. You see, I can't even afford to buy a ruddy axe.
Then, one morning, as he was going off through the forest to his daily task, he saw a beautiful bird. A sapsucker, I believe, with one of its wings caught in the branch of a tree.
I'm what you might say a sap and sucker myself.
Going to the branch, he released the tiny bird, whereupon it fluttered into the air, circled several times, and then, landing on his head, laid an egg in his hat. And with a cheery song, he flew away into the clouds.
I say, how nice.
He quickly made a fire and began to cook the egg, but, to his amazement, when he opened the egg, a gold coin fell out.
By Jove, what a generous and talented bird.
It was several days later, while making his usual trip into the woods, that he heard a familiar sound, and there, in the same tree, he saw the same bird caught on the same limb.
My word.
Once again he released the bird, and just as before, it fluttered into the air, circled several times, landed on his head, laid an egg in his hat, and flew off into the sky. Quickly taking the egg, the Count broke it open, and this time, 2 gold coins fell out.
Champion, a double yoker. Thank heaven for little birds.
The Count had 2 gold coins, but not for long. Less than 2 hours later, a fast-talking rogue had the coins, and the Count had a deed to the Atlantic Ocean.
Now, don't laugh. This might turn out to be a good investment someday. Well, back to the tree.
Yes, but when he arrived, the little bird was not there.
I wonder what could be keeping the little beggar. Oh, yes, here he is.
And this time, the Count was taking no chances. Instead of setting the bird free, he took it with him.
I shall never let you out of my sight again.
And for the next 6 months, the bird laid eggs in the hat, and the Count counted coins.
1,000,002, 1,000,003, 1,000,004, 1,000,000... What's this? An Indian head penny? Ooh. See here, we'll have none of that.
The bird was able to lay eggs full of gold coins faster than the Count could be swindled out of them. So, it was no time at all before the Count was richer than he'd ever been before. He was able to buy fine castles.
I'll take 2. They're small.
Had all of his clothes made from the most expensive material.
Let's see, that's 700 gold shirts, 600 silver sneakers, and 1,000 satin socks, right?
Right. And don't forget the mink middies, okay?
He had everything he could wish for. He even bought back his stable of racing chickens. Rich and famous, he was the envy of every fair maiden in the kingdom, and, choosing the fairest and the most beautiful of all, he was married.
Dearest, I have a gift for you.
Oh, how nice. What is it?
The thing I treasure most. Me. No, seriously. This tiny bird to whom I owe everything.
A sapsucker. Oh, how nice.
His wife took the bird and was very pleased. It seemed as though the Count was most certainly destined to live happily ever after. But that very afternoon, tragedy struck.
Extra, extra. Read all about it.
Here, boy. Paper.
And when he read the headlines,
Snow White eats poison apple. Good grief.
What's the matter,